Good morning, AI adopters. Today I want to talk to you about something that I found really interesting. It's what I call the judgment architecture for AI. All right, essentially, I just published a post called, why your AI agent has a lot of knowledge but no business sense, essentially, right? And, I want you to go with me on a quick little journey of the last 3 years. What have we been doing? We've been mostly talking about prompt engineering, context engineering, and they both matter. I think they're both very important. But here's a third layer, especially now that we're moving into a more agentic AI world. Your AI basically has access to everything, hopefully, if your data is right, but it still makes decisions that your newest hire would know to avoid. And that's why I want to talk to you about my assistant Claudia and how I'm trying to solve that, all right? And that's how we're getting into the judgment architecture. But let's talk about the problem first here, okay? So imagine when you hire someone, they don't just stop at the handbook, right? The word by word, what's written in it is like the holy gospel, right? They pick up the unwritten rules and when to bend the policy, maybe when to speed when speed basically beats thoroughness. And that's a trade-off that really matters in real business and practice, right? AI agents don't have that. They optimize for whatever is easiest to measure, whether this is speed, a word count, whether or not to use M dashes, right? But not the thing that your best employee would optimize for. And I call this the judgment gap. The fix isn't better prompts in this case, it's a new layer. It's a judgment architecture, or the difference basically between knowledge and wisdom. And that's a concept that's important for humans as well, right? But now we're getting into teaching it to AI. And I got to tell you, this is going to be a topic that will pop up more and more over time on this newsletter. And interestingly enough, I have a client today, an employee from a client of mine that I'm interviewing for an AI assessment. And that guy actually teaches intentionality at university. So I will definitely use some of that time to ask him about his thoughts on how to maybe teach that for AI. And who knows, maybe I'll be teaching alongside with him later down the road, but we'll see. But essentially, I want you just to think of it as teaching your AI how your business actually makes decisions. All right, not just SOPs, even though a lot of companies don't even have those written down. But what's the meta decision here? All right, how the handbook says it should happen versus how things actually happen and how decisions are being made in the real world. All right, so what are some examples? Air Canada's chatbot, the airline, right? It actually promised a passenger a huge discount that didn't really exist. And then the newspaper got a hold of this story and they made the airline liable and they had to honor it. Nobody really had encoded that rule that, you kind of have to weigh your, you have a budget or this is what our customers are allowed to ask for. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure the AI basically just followed, I need to close that sale, right? No matter the cost. So it invented a discount. And here's an example that I had with Claudia the other day. Not that big of a problem, but still it showcases what I wanted to attack here. So Claudia was sending follow-up emails to schedule client interviews. And this was the third follow-up. She wrote a full paragraph re-explaining everything that the person already knew. Okay, every detail of the project and who I am, reintroducing myself. Exactly the email that people would just ignore, right? She had the context, but she lacked the judgment that the more follow-ups you make, the shorter your messages should be, essentially, right? It makes sense to us. Now, so how do you actually fix this, right? Let me show you here on the example on Claudia how I already, and remember, she's kind of like my chief of staff, helping me with day-to-day work. So with Claudia, I had something that I called the meditation skill, okay? And if we go in here, okay, let me just show you. So this is Claudia here on the left. Hold on. You can see her a little bit here. Just give me a moment. She's running on Claude Code. This is a open source GitHub repo. You can check her out, read about her. But this is an active Claudia session. And if we go here, And if, I did a couple of things, and if I just tell her to, hey, Claudia, can you just meditate on today's session? Okay. And then what should happen is she invokes a skill that already recognizes patterns of my judgment and my behavior working with her, and then she remembers those. However, as of today, as I was thinking about this piece, I'm actually expanding that skill specifically and dramatically, meaning I'm building a whole judgment templates and judgment architecture where this skill is just the entry point. As you can see, she's pulling up the skill to really build judgment over time and solidify it in her code base as she works with you. All right. So here you can see big session. Let me see if I have to actually redact something. Okay, I gotta redact some of this here. But she essentially notices the patterns, right? You turn internal operational discoveries into publishable content almost reflexively. Doesn't that sound good, right? Open this text file as your export move. All right, that's another one. The Obsidian Vault is becoming your business intelligence hub because she's integrated with Obsidian. All these things, remember, this is like the how I do things versus what I say I do or think I do, right? So these are patterns, and then she asks, does that look good? I'm like, yes, looks good. Looks good. And then she remembers this. However, this is a weak reference point for her, and I'm just making this better as I build out this judgment architecture that should be published today. So if you want to check her out and play around with her, she's open source. Just wait till the end of the day, and this should be in version 1.41 or something like that. All right. So let me get back to why this matters for you. If you are using an AI tool at work or in your personal professional life, you already have this problem. Your AI is making judgment calls without a judgment layer. And that's, if you don't have any safeties, then that's scary. And if you do have safeties, it means a lot of manual work for you, right? And every auto reply, every summary, every draft, there's a trade-off being made, and nobody really specified which way it should go, right? And if you're a consultant, as you can imagine, selling AI services, this is the new offering. Every company developing and deploying agents needs someone to help them extract their unwritten rules and encode them. Like I said, this is one layer above SOPs, if you think about it. This is not the knowledge layer of the company, how things are being done in theory, but how they are actually being done in practice, right? So that's the wisdom layer of a company. And I think judgment architecture really sits alongside prompt engineering and context engineering as a third pillar or discipline or whatever you want to call it. And I will definitely talk more about this in the future because I think it's super exciting. And it's actually how you build intelligent co-workers and co-thinkers alongside with you. Okay, so remember, Claudia is open source. Link is in the description. You can try her out, have fun with her. I'm also, again, working with somebody who's teaching intentionality at university. So I will have a lot more on this topic, how to teach intentionality to businesses, essentially, we'll see, and how to extract that and input that into our agents. And, for now, maybe try this. Pick one AI workflow where the system makes a decision without your input, and then look at the last 5 outputs, write down the trade-offs it missed, and that's your first piece of judgment architecture, all right? You're kind of assessing what the situation is. And I think that should be good. And if you want to, you can leave a comment below and let me know how it went. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.